streaming. Can you tell me if you see anything?
Something's loading, loading, loading. There we go. Yes.
Okay.
You see me and Gmail. Oh, I see you and Gmail.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All right, cool. Yeah, the windows are off today. I gotta, we'll fix that next
No
time.
worries.
But here it is. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Am I going to be echoing? That's the thing.
No, can you let me actually load the stream up on my phone. Where is it playing on YouTube?
Yeah. It's playing on YouTube, on Twitch, Twitch and the Funky Bunch, on my Facebook, or at least I think so, on my personal Facebook account. Yes. So I'm going to play it.
You're good, man. Your audio is solid tonight.
That may not be the best thing for the world out there, but sounds good to me. All right. Yes.
All right. So I'll probably still just play the videos, and then I'll just switch back over to us, like the scenes with us talking, if that's cool, just so people can kind of see what's going on.
No worries. No worries. Sounds good.
All right, man. Hey, well, let's kick this off whenever you're ready. Let me, just in case we have an incident, let me record the show.
An international incident. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you in your email the list, how we're going to do it. So we're going to start off with your thoughts on Men and Kills, just to let you know.
Okay.
All right. But I'm going to show you the order right now. All right. There it is, just to give you an idea. So, all right. And we will get underway in 5, 4, 3, 2. I could use that fancy stuff right there, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do that instead of the intro. We're already talking. So, all right, here we go. 5. On this week's episode, has Ubisoft tarnished the Tom Clancy legacy? G.I. Joe rolls Snake Eyes at the box office, and it's time to go trailer hunting once again. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And it's time to go trailer hunting one more time. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and everything that we do out there at popculturecosmos.com or at Pop Culture Cosmos on social media, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He's our own man in kilts for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com. His great shows that he has available out there, Topicocalypse and the Super BS Gamescast, and of course his book, Congratulations, You Suck, which is now available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? I've been doing a lot of catching up on my TV viewing.
Kilts, man. You're a man in kilts.
It's like I was fascinated by this. I'm not a big fan of Outlander, but I do think the actors are very like enigmatic, So I saw this trailer for Men in Kilts where they're like doing a little road trip, and I got intrigued enough to sit down and watch it. They cruise around, talk about the history of Scotland, and I am really digging it. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be moving some cameras around on the fly here, so please forgive me. But that being said, yeah, they toured Scotland, and they showed you kind of like the history of Scotland, talking about like the like the stuff that they believe in, like what like the history, the battles, the clans, the like witchcraft and all that good stuff. Again, sorry, the window. Gerald's not completely cropped here, but yeah. So these are the stars of Outlander. They get in a van pretty much, and they drive around. They drive around Scotland, yeah, and they stop at all these different places, all these famous battle locations. They talk to the clans. They dive into the legends of like the Loch Ness monster, and you get to kind of see like a taste of the food and the drinks. They show like how some of the scotch is made, and they show like why they're famous for their dining, and they talk a lot about the dancing culture and the sports and all that. Like you get a full tour, and I don't know if they're going to make a second season of this show, but like I was super fascinated by this one. Like I've been on a docuseries kick lately, and this really did a great job of scratching that itch.
Well, if you ever go back into the docuseries, one I'd tell you to go ahead and try is the HBO Monopoly docuseries.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you get a chance, that was just truly a blast. It was one of my favorites of 2020, so hopefully you'll give that a shot. But yes, you said such great things about Men in Kilts. It looks really good. I mean, right there from the guys from Outlander. So yes, I can't put any Highlander jokes in there because it's Outlander, so you can't mix one with the other, even though they're going to make a new Highlander. So
yeah,
please, everyone, give it a chance. It's on the Stars channel, correct?
Yeah, it's on the Stars channel. If you're looking to watch Outlander, you can watch it on Netflix, but there has not been a new season for like 3 years.
I think they'll return Outlander because my wife likes it as well.
Yeah, they said they're working on the next season, supposed to come out in 2022.
Well, looking forward to that indeed, but there's a lot of things to look forward to on this week's show. There's a lot to look forward to, including on the back end. We've got the new host for our Friday show, the PC Multiverse. It is none other than our good friend, Mr. Jamie Monroy, my longtime compadre and amigo from way back when we used to do the Game Source podcast together for several episodes of that 150 episode plus run. He's going to be the new man on Fridays. But before we go ahead with the rest of the show, I do want to thank so much Marcus De La Garza for everything that he's brought to us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, all of his contributions from the PCC Multiverse. And I look forward to having him back on the show whenever he can.
We already miss you.
Yeah, we miss him indeed. But there is going to be a great show that we have, and I still hear from him all the time on social media. So it's not like he's gone forever or anything like that. But yeah. I do wish him all the best, and I know he's going to stop by in the not too distant future. But I want to go ahead and make sure everybody knows what we're talking about on today's program. We're going to be talking about Tom Clancy and something that Ubisoft came out with in regards to an announcement on an upcoming Tom Clancy-ish game. Is it something that the internet out there likes, or do we have even a worse reaction than we saw last year from Halo Infinite? We'll talk about XDefiant coming up on the show. Plus, EA officially announced something that was a horribly kept secret in the return of Dead Space. So yes, so Dead Space is going to be coming back out in a revised form as far as the original Dead Space is concerned. So we'll talk about that coming up on the show as well. Speaking of video games, there's a major controversy going on in regards to California now suing Activision-Blizzard over a lot of naughty things that are being are being talked about and being accused of at Activision-Blizzard. We'll talk about that, plus the very interesting protest that was made online coming up on the program as well. Plus we go trailer hunting with Dune, and I want to really talk to Josh about Dune coming up. The Last Duel, which I also want to talk for altogether different reasons, and Jackass Forever, so we'll talk about that. I know Josh wanted to touch on something that went on with Comic-Con at home in regards to Dragon Ball Superhero, and the new animation style that's freaking everyone out, so we'll talk about that. But again, Jamie Monroy will be back on the show later in the program to talk about the weekend box office, more EA Play announcements, and the rest of the major news from Comic-Con at home coming up on the back end of the show as well. But first, my friend, it is XDefiant. And That's a new game in development, most likely coming out next year. It's going to be in beta trials coming up later this year. That's going to be a 6v6 shooter in the realm of, let's say, Valorant and some other close quarter shooters that are out there, first person. It's supposed to take as far as characters and styles and power ups and elements from a lot of Tom Clancy games that we've seen in the past from Ubisoft, like Splinter Cell and The Division and whatnot. I want to hear your thoughts on this because it is getting ravaged online. I think partly because of the person and individuals behind it, at least the individual that's heading up this game, was also responsible for Call of Duty Ghosts, which is considered by many to be the worst edition of Call of Duty ever. But I want to hear your thoughts, my friend, on this. It is getting ravaged and roasted online in regards to the muddy textures and the lack of, I guess, inspiration in regards to this. And basically, a lot of people are seeing this and also Rainbow Six Extraction being two individual properties coming up in the not too distant future that are soiling the Tom Clancy name. So I want to hear your thoughts on XDefiant, my friend.
It looks like they're trying to be Apex Legends. Is what when I looked at this trailer, I immediately thought this is another season of Apex Legends. So that's it seems like that seems to be it's successful, right? So let's try to take off of or kind of mimic what they did. On the other hand, though, like I don't know if anybody really is as interested in like these franchises enough to be like, hey, let's have like a Super Smash Brothers style game, where we bring all the franchises together, a PlayStation All Stars, and have them just like shoot each other. Like this looks, I don't know, this looks like it's just going to be dripping in microtransactions.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be something very interesting to see if there's going to be a change being made, maybe like we'll just go ahead and either scrap it or delay it for a year while they go ahead and maybe do some other things to it. But already it has its work cut out for it if it's going to be released in its current form, because it is getting ravished online. It's even getting worse reception than what we saw from Halo Infinite last year.
Do you notice how choppy it looks? Like I thought that at first, I thought that was just the video quality that I was able to find, but no, this is the actual game. Like it looks very choppy, and it doesn't look anything like the Rainbow Six style gameplay that we've come to know and love from these franchises. It looks, I don't know, it just looks cheap. Am I being hypercritical, or is that?
No, it does. To me, I was very unimpressed by it, extremely unimpressed by it, and I know a lot of other people as well. Not just the regular small-time YouTubers that you see out there. I'm talking about large outlets that are out there also like, this is not really, and they don't really want to tread on the water because they get a lot of stuff from the Ubisoft and they don't want to go ahead and say too many bad things about it. But
yeah,
they're saying like, this is not for me, or I don't really know who this is for, because to me, it just seems like they want to avoid some of these properties that they can utilize better, like Splinter Cell. I mean, they have characters or play types that they're using in this. As far as characters they're going to use that have the Splinter Cell motif, why not just make another Splinter Cell?
Yeah, I mean, the fans have been clamoring for that for a very long time. I don't know why they're not just doing it.
It's beyond me, man. It's beyond me. It just seems like they don't really want to go ahead and do it, but they bring out this stuff instead. And I know with Hyperspace, which was their last shooter that they had, which was a free-to-play, which was going to be something that was going to be an arena battle royale type shooter that came out to horrible reviews, and that was really something that was DOA, dead on arrival, right away. So I think that XDefiant, if large drastic changes aren't made, it will meet the same fate.
Yeah, there's nothing about this game that looks appealing to me right now, and I'm not super excited about it. I can see I can see where it might have some fans, but at the moment, like it does not. It looks like it's trying to be everything else that's out right now and not its own thing.
Exactly. To me, it looks very unimpressive, and I think that Ubisoft is going to sit down with the creators of XDefiant, and I think they're just going to go ahead and maybe, like I said, go back to the scrap it and go back to the whole lab and just go back to the drawing board and try and do something else that's different or maybe something that's more acceptable. I don't think they're going to bring it out in its current form. I know it's scheduled for release in 2022, and there's going to be beta testing later this year. I really seriously can't think that they're going to do something like this
Yeah.
unless they, I don't know. If they do, then they must be oblivious to the online criticism out there. And that to me is part of the problem, because if you already, we've always talked about on this show in regards to video game and movie first trailers and whatnot. First impressions are everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a good first impression, it's a hard battle uphill to finally win over an audience.
Do you think too that this is kind of the wrong time for them to put out something experimental, especially with all the stuff online about them, right? With the in the midst of like the sexual harassment scandals, like they really need to make sure they're crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's here before they put something out, because it's just going to be one more bad publicity thing stacked on top of another.
Absolutely, and that will come more into play in regards to that when the Assassin's Creed is, that is more announced as far as what we talked about before, as far as Assassin's Creed going to that play style, that game style that's going to span generations and span years, as opposed to bringing out an Assassin's Creed every year. As that gets more and more into a reality, those rumors in regards to the environment and the sexual harassment, that's going to come up even more. And we're going to talk about more studios that are under fire coming up here in a sec. But yeah, any last thoughts on XDefiant on the way out? Because I certainly don't have much more of a favorable opinion on this game. And I think it's something that if I was at Ubisoft and one of the executives that were up there, I would really, really second guess this game should be coming out in its current form.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest, but it also kind of reminds me, you know how like every E3 they have trailers for games where you're like, nobody was asking for this. Why does this exist? That's what this feels like to me.
Feels like to me as well, and I'm so sorry to see that, because I don't want to root against any studios that are out there that, when they make games, because obviously I know the kind of money that's involved, the kind of development cost and time that goes into making these games, all the hard work that's done, the man hours that are put on there. Then that's even before they go into the crunch and we've already heard over the years about all the different types of allegations that have been talked about in some of these studios when it comes to crunch time and the hours that they force their workers to do in order to go ahead and put a game out the door. I mean, this is just something that I don't wish bad upon them, but maybe they just need time to reevaluate this. That's what I wish. I wish for them time to just step back and say, you know what, is this being accepted already by the audience? What's the early returns on it? If it's really that mixed or really that negative, maybe we should reevaluate it from there.
Yeah, and this is something I don't feel like they did a lot of like great market research on something like this, because I can't be the only person, or we can't be the only people out there that are seriously wondering why this game exists.
Call of Duty Warzone has been a big hit. Obviously, we know Apex Legends going into double digits on its seasons now. That's been a very great success as well. I understand that the video game industry is a lot like other industries. Once you have a successful formula, we got to go ahead and do that too. Valorant has been a great success as well. And I get that, but do something a little bit out of the norm. I mean, you've already had a miss with Hyperspace, and that was just an abysmal attempt to go ahead and try and recreate the battle royale genre. Way too late and way too little. This looks like it's going to be a second strike in a row. And what really hurts to me is that Tom Clancy's name is being dragged through the mud in all this and not being saved for something a little bit more special.
Yeah, well, I feel like much like Ubisoft themselves, like these Tom Clancy games have not had a direction to go in years. Like it's been a long time since like this franchise, the Tom Clancy, I guess franchise or games, whatever, seemed like they were going somewhere. Like since it's been a long time since someone has truly sat down and said, "I'm excited for the next Tom Clancy game." You know, like the Division was cool, but it still did not meet the expectations of the people who were waiting for it to come out. Like it doesn't feel like these games get a lot of thought. They're just trying to push them out lately.
What are your thoughts out there on the very questionable game that is coming out as of this time, scheduled to come out later this year in a beta form and next year in XDefiant as a regular game out there, as a arena shooter type deal, 6v6? Looks like it's going to be something that I don't think is going to impress a lot of people in its current form. Do you think they need to go back to the drawing board and bring up something else? Do you think they need to stop using Tom Clancy's name and the whole moniker unless it's something really special and worth playing? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, speaking of the troubles for the video game industry, I mean, the video game industry does not get a break because there's so many things going on there in regards to so many mistakes being made. I want to ask you this, my friend. Have you heard about the state of California now suing Activision-Blizzard in regards to its sexual harassment allegations? And this is not just one or two. This is a consistent theme over the course of many years at their studios based in California and I think all over in regards to Activision Blizzard's concern. Obviously, they've denied the charges, that they're going to at least tell the public out there that they're denying the charges and they're going to go to court over it. But it is an issue, and it's to the point where the player base is getting upset about it because the World of Warcraft, I believe, just had a demonstration against what was going on, in support of those being harassed and those being troubled by this situation. And they actually had a sit down protest within the confines of Warcraft. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Activision Blizzard really looks bad. I mean, these are allegations that are very detailed and very inappropriate and very it's just a shameful thing that's gone on that Activision Blizzard didn't correct or didn't take care of as far as the whole situation, as far as that type of thing, a lot sooner.
Yeah, so I tried to read up on both sides of this issue. I know that they had placed a lawsuit against them, and then Blizzard had responded to it saying, "Hey, you didn't give us a fair chance. We've been trying to like make these corrections as the investigation's going on." But 2 years is a long time, if you think about that. Like that's a long time for somebody. If it's true that they're really just going after them, like that's a long time for them to like not have conversations, So
yeah,
I don't believe that Blizzard is like as innocent as they're saying they are. I don't know to what extent, but yeah, if you have all these people making the same allegations, you have eyewitnesses of things happening like gropings at Christmas parties, and they have an employee that I think he was one of the creative directors on World of Warcraft, like constantly hitting on women and touching them inappropriately and just being disrespectful all around. Like you have multiple like cases of this happening and no one did anything. And even when this employee left, nobody said anything about why he was, this wasn't even mentioned in, why he was leaving. And I guess his NPCs are still all over World of Warcraft. So I don't know. This just doesn't look good for them. Like they're a staple of Southern California. You go down to Irvine and you see the big old Activision Blizzard building. I worked at the Best Buy that installed the TVs for them, and that was a kind of a cool thing to get to go in there and see them. But yeah, it's one of those things where like it feels like everything they say in order to defend themselves just kind of digs the hole a little deeper. So I'm curious to see what comes of this. And I know they had made threats to leave California, but with their CEO, right? The guy who was he was getting paid like a ridiculous amount of money in the midst of all this turmoil. It's just, this is one thing after another, and it's just not looking like they're the people's company anymore.
Well, this is something that has been unfortunately rampant in the industry for many years. And it needs to be corrected. It needs to be corrected like yesterday, and that environment needs to be receptive for all audiences and safe and comfortable for all audiences so that we can get creative products out there. And if it's not, then it needs to be corrected and fixed right away. This is stuff that should not be happening in the workplace,
Yeah.
especially at somewhere that you and I try to appreciate so much, like Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard, where we bought products from them before. And to know these type of things are going on makes me second guess myself for buying these products in the first place.
Yeah, and it's sad too because you want to, like you said, you want to stand behind these companies. You want to say like, oh, hey, that can't be right, but there's just so much overwhelming evidence against it. And Ubisoft goes a step further and says like, oh, this game was made by people of multiple gender identities and cultural beliefs and all that, and you still see they seem to try to champion that cause, but then you still see these issues going on at the company. So,
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But
yeah.
any last thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I just yeah, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's hard to know like what's exaggerated and what's not from people's stories, but there's so many accounts here that it's hard to really deny that any of this is happening. So, we as obviously like gamers are such a diverse bunch and game devs are a diverse bunch, and you want the workplace to be comfortable not just for one group of people but for everybody, and this doesn't really seem like the way to go about it.
We'll be seeing here in court documents and court proceedings over the next few months and possibly years, because these type of things, they have a tendency to drag out, but hopefully we will be seeing something rectified within the industry. Maybe we need to go to a little bit more overseeing, maybe a unionization or something that needs to take place that will help the workplace will help make the workplace safer for everyone involved in the video game industry.
Yeah, and one more closing thought. I think that if something does come of this, like there is accountability put towards Blizzard, this could go a long way towards limiting this happening in a lot of other game development companies as well.
Looking forward to seeing some type of good resolution to this, and hopefully the people who were terrorized by this and who were victims of this, alleged what's going on in regards to the sexual harassment, they will find some retribution and some justice for them in the not too distant future as soon as possible. And the industry hopefully will learn from this and become better for it. What are your thoughts out there on the current situation at both Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard in regards to these sexual harassment allegations, and in the case of Ubisoft, in the case of Activision Blizzard, actual action by the state of California? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the half-hour break, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and touch on a little bit more, a little bit more pleasant things to talk about in regards to video games, and that is at the recent EA Play Live, which took place this past Thursday. They talked about one of the main things, the headliner, was the return of Dead Space. And that was it looks like to be, they're just going to give the old Dead Space, the original Dead Space, a nice, beautiful, new, shiny coat of paint, new graphics to it, obviously making it and modernizing it to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X realm. It's something that I think a lot of people were waiting for. I was hoping for a Dead Space trilogy remaster, kind of like what we saw with the success story from the Mass Effect edition, the Legendary edition.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts, man. You are more of a Dead Space fan than I am, but I thought it was always very highly rated, very highly respected. I enjoyed my time with the original one, but I want to hear your thoughts on the return of Dead Space.
I'm excited. I love Dead Space 1, love Dead Space 2. Didn't really like Dead Space 3. It felt, that was the era of the EA microtransactions, and it's just like it felt, I don't know, it didn't feel like Dead Space. It felt like a sales pitch. And but Dead Space 1, like, wow, is such a great game. It's such a great experience. And, thinking about your comments on Mass Effect, right? Like, that would be rad if they made that happen. But I kind of feel like
I was thinking about that and BioShock. Would love a remastered trilogy of each.
yes, yeah, yes, I completely agree with you. But I'm thinking that EA's taking a page from Capcom in this. Like they're rebuilding the game from the ground up. Like this isn't just a simple like new coat of paint like Mass Effect was. This is a game that is being remade from scratch. Like it's the same. They're saying that it's a remake, but it's also a retelling. So I don't think it's exactly the same game that Dead Space 1 was, but I think it's going they're trying to, from what I've read, okay, they're trying to set up for the future of the franchise. So I think they're trying to change some things. And I have a feeling that most of it had to do with what happened in Dead Space 3. So I think they're trying to do 1 and then 2, and then they're kind of going to flip the direction of the franchise at that point. But that's assuming that this does well. Are you excited to play this? I mean, do you have a history with these games? Is this something you're looking to jump into?
Well, I told you the only one I played was the original. I don't have a great affinity for it, but I am interested to get back into it. And I wanted to go ahead and say that I think this is going to be something that might click with the fans out there because a lot of people have been clamoring for a return of Dead Space. I would love to see a new Dead Space IP come back as far as new additions like we're seeing with a Mass Effect coming out at some point in time down the line with a new Mass Effect. I don't want to say 4 per se, but next evolvement of the Mass Effect series. And I'm hoping that if this does well, you will see the same thing for Dead Space. The original studio was trash. They were kicked to the curb and already canceled out. So this is going to be taking, pardon?
As Visceral Games, yeah.
Yeah, Visceral Games bit the dust and was kicked out to the curb by EA, but there's a new studio involved in remaking this, and I'm assuming if it does well, take up the actual full IP if they want more Dead Space games down the road. So I'm interested and intrigued, but I know, again, this is something that a lot of gamers out there were hoping that they would get, is that Dead Space would be an IP that would be revived, and it looks like if that's the case, then we could be seeing more Dead Space in the future. And I think that ultimately is what's going to serve well. And they made sure to let everybody know that this Dead Space remake will not have microtransactions.
That's exactly what everyone wants to hear. I think EA's learned their lesson here. FIFA is their casino, and now the rest of their games can kind of just be the experiences that they're meant to be.
Tell it to the people in the Ukraine that were busted in that lab I was talking about on last week's shows.
Gosh, yeah, that was crazy. I know they originally thought that was crypto mining, but they're just farming FIFA stuff.
Yeah, crypto farm,
Yeah,
as opposed, yeah. So it's funny. That was well. Eventually, it leads to money, which could lead to crypto coin. That's when you sell them. When you sell those cars. So
yeah,
there you go. Lots of money being there generated, but. Yes, it is EA announcing that a new Dead Space is on the way. I know that Josh is looking forward to it. I am as well, but it's a game where I think a lot of people need to get more into it. It was a decent seller in its day. I think it could be an IP that could even garner more interest if it's done correctly because of the fact that horror games and the horror genre in video games have been more accepted as of late, especially due to the success of the Resident Evil series. We talked about Resident Evil before in the past, not the success of Resident Evil Village, which will go down probably as one of the best games of 2021. So if Dead Space does well in this revised version, we could see more of Dead Space down the road as well. What are your thoughts on a new Dead Space, or I should say a Dead Space revival on the way? We want to hear your thoughts on if this will hopefully lead to a continuation of the series itself and your enthusiasm for it. So please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. We're coming up after the break. We're going to talk about it. Well, we're coming up after the break. We're going to go trailer hunting for brand new trailers that came out in Dune, The Last Duel, and Jackass Forever. I know Josh also wants to touch on something that was mentioned at Comic-Con at Home this past weekend in Dragon Ball Superhero, and the controversial new look for it. Plus, Jamie Monroy and I will touch on the weekend box office, more EA Play announcements, and the rest of the major news from Comic-Con at Home on the back end of the show as well. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Well, my friend, And we're back with the show. It's Gerald Glassford. And we're back with the show. It's Gerald Glassford along with my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson. Want to make sure everybody knows out there, He-Man Revelations dropped on Netflix this past weekend, and a lot of people have been talking about it. I will be trying to see if I can record some interviews over the next few days with Noe Fine, who's just had to go. He's reached out to me on social media and says, he's really got some feelings on it. I also reached out to the He-Man expert that's out there, Mr. Rob McCallum, the award-winning director himself of the upcoming Faking Filmation. I'm hoping to get his thoughts as well on it. So I may put that on a separate show, but we'll wait and see if we can put that on one of our regular shows or a Wednesday show. So we'll keep you abreast on that as well. But my friend, there's still more to talk about on this show because it's time to go trailer hunting. And the first trailer I want to hunt as we go and look out there for it is Dune. The trailer hit for Dune. This is the second trailer, actually. The first one debuted several months ago, but in this latest trailer for Dune, it really encompasses what is going to be about it. I mean, it's not a secret if you've read the book. It's not a secret if you watch the original movie that came out in the 80s, but Denis Villeneuve, who you and I love from Blade Runner 2049 as the director, just truly outstanding film that people need to catch that, especially when we were on our kick for like months for like pushing it, out there as one of the best movies that we've seen in quite some time. He has directed Dune on this, and it looks like it's going to be the first of a two-part movie series. They're going to go ahead and take the events of the books and put them in a two-part movie series as opposed to what was done in the 1980 movies when they just smashed everything together in a 2-hour time frame. So I want to hear your thoughts on it. I think it looks fantastic. I know my wife and I are both excited about it, and we're looking forward to October when Dune hits theaters. And HBO Max.
Yeah. No, this movie looks beautiful. Like, it's got those gritty tones that Denis Villeneuve is known
Here he
for.
goes on his color
I know.
palettes.
But I love his cinematography, though. Like, that's one of the reasons you don't? Wait,
no,
what?
I said, oh, you know it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I misheard. But yeah, I mean, even though, I didn't like the movie Arrival, I loved the cinematography in that because it felt so...
Well, they won for the cinematographer won the Oscar for Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, because I don't know. There's just the way that he makes his films, the cinematography, the editing, it all like comes together so well. And you look at this trailer here, like it looks, the movie looks very dark, but it also looks very out of this world, I guess. Like it feels like a science fiction movie. It doesn't feel like you watch.
It doesn't feel like they were looking in front of green screens.
Yeah, you watch a movie like Men in Black or whatever modern sci-fi movies are out there. They all have very campy looking. It's all very campy looking, right? But this looks like you're watching a book, and
this looks like you're watching the action take place on another planet.
Right. And it looks beautiful and it's so intriguing and I want to be there. I don't necessarily want to like be in the war, but I just want to I want to know more about this. Like I want to go further, and I love the idea.
It's so funny because I could see Josh Brolin's Gurney character, which was played by Patrick Stewart in the original movie. As you see in the trailer there, he's telling everybody, run, run, run. Go as far as the battle. And I can see Josh like running.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening. But yeah,
it looks sensational.
It does. And like Denis Villeneuve, like he was wanting to tell more. He wanted to finish the Blade Runner story, but he never got that opportunity. But with this one,
he may still.
If this does well, yeah, that would be the hope. With this one though, like I love the idea of him getting 2 movies because one, it's so awful when they have to take all the trilogy of books or whatever, all the books and shove them into one story. That has never worked. That's like Chaos Walking, John Carter of Mars. All those movies suffered.
The original Dune movie.
All these movies suffered greatly because they're trying to cut corners. But like him really getting a chance to flesh this story out and tell it can only go right because he's a brilliant filmmaker.
Well, it looks like it's something I really want to see. My wife wants to see it. We talked about it at length, because she's a book nerd and she loves going ahead and watching films that are based off of great epic books like Dune and, of course, Lord of the Rings right here. That's how we first bonded. And I will tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. I know you are as well. And we're going to do some heavy stuff leading into that come October because it debuts October 22nd in theaters. That's a movie I think I might catch an IMAX. I personally
Yeah.
am
Oh,
thinking
of
about an
course.
IMAX on that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and HBO Max as well. But next on the list, my friend, to talk about with trailers, speaking of Blade Runner, Denis Villeneuve and all that, Ridley Scott dropped his own trailer for his upcoming movie, The
I
Last Duel.
Yes, I did not get a chance to download the trailer for this one, but I did watch it, and yeah, the accents are a little off, and it's such a smaller scale film for him. Like he does these big epics usually, and this is not that.
Epic.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's something that it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays over because it does star Adam Driver. It does star, Ben Affleck. Does star his buddy. It does star his buddy Matt Damon. So who you're seeing right now in trailers for Stillwater, and he's got the Stillwater voice in there. And he's got the
yeah.
from Oklahoma and all that.
He's
And
forgot.
then
Yeah.
you're asking him to go ahead and do a British voice, which I cannot do when I go one to the other. And it's so funny how Australian and British actors can just like nail American accents.
Mm-hmm.
And when it goes the opposite way, that's a different story. It's very hit or miss. And I'm assuming that The Last Duel takes place sometime in Europe, England, from many centuries ago, right in the Arthurian age and all that.
Yeah.
And it just does not click with me as far as the accents are concerned. I'm going to have to get by it to make sure that it's a good story. It's Ridley Scott, and you and I have great affinity for his work, so I'm going to go ahead and check it out. But you cannot tell me this is Kingdom of Heavens for you.
No, not at all. This is probably the only Ridley Scott movie that has come out that I just have not been interested in. Like normally, one of his trailers comes out, I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. And this one, I'm just like, this is not something that I am really excited to watch. But then again, as it gets closer to release and more trailers come out, that could change. But as of right now, I'm not too thrilled about it.
Yeah, this is no Kingdom of Heaven for you, but it's no Alien or it's no Blade Runner for me as well. So kind of disappointed what we saw with The Last Duel, especially with that kind of cast. You think you have that kind of heavyweight cast, you think you're going to do a whole bunch of numbers for it. You think you're going to do a whole bunch of favors and you're going to get this kind of performance, especially with Ridley Scott directing. But I don't know. I'm going to try and keep my mind open, but seeing how The Green Knight is coming up around the corner, which sounds pardon?
It looks pretty good.
It sounds a lot more authentic.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, we'll wait and see, but yeah, it is The Last Duel. It is coming out later this year, and we'll watch it, we'll catch it, we'll share our thoughts on it, but we're not really eager to see it as of yet. I know it's not the XDefiant number of, dissatisfaction yet with it, but it's still something that's out there and getting kind of mixed thoughts going into it. But we'll catch it. It's The Last Duel, and we'll make sure we share our thoughts on the show as well. But before we head to the break, my friend, or before we head to your thoughts on the Super Dragon Ball thoughts that were taken care of at Comic-Con at Home, I want to go ahead and share one last trailer thoughts, and that's for Jackass Forever, with Johnny Knoxville getting gored and flipping upside down. And I think he suffered a concussion from that movie, from that scene that's in there. I know that was talked about already, and they love to put themselves through a whole bunch of pain. And I want to ask you, my friend, are you interested in watching them endure more pain one last time?
I thought that I wasn't, and then I watched the trailer, and the little 10-year-old inside me just started laughing uncontrollably. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, is this the movie the world wants right now? Probably not, but is this the movie the world needs right now? And I was like, yes. We all just need to go to the movie theaters and watch these the best I guess you could call them the best like crew of people in the world just hurt themselves and not have to like worry about what themes or like what's going on behind everything. You know, this is just something people of all diversities can go to this movie together and enjoy. And I think that this is going to be good.
So you see it right there as we're watching it on the replay. That gore really did a number on them. I think he had to be hospitalized from what I remember reading in the article. So yeah, it's going to be the same old when it comes to Jackass Forever. See what kind of crazy stunts they can do this time and see how they can try to inflict pain on each other. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to catch it just because of the fact that there might be some good shots in there that they haven't shown in the trailers. Although I'm hoping that that's the case. If they showed everything off already in the trailers, that really would be disappointing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more. Knowing this though, they have said that this is going to be their final like Jackass thing. Like they're all planning to retire after this movie is made.
There'll be a new legacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that like this is going to spawn, a bunch of like copycats like it did back in the day, or do you think that this is going to be like the last like truly reality TV physical comedies that will be released in a long time? Because do you remember when the show first came on? There's a lot of copycats like coming out, whether it's on the internet or on live TV. Like a lot of people trying to mimic this. Do you think?
Well, we have some of that already still on Holy Moly and Wipeout that we see a lot on commercial television and cable television.
Yeah, and that's true.
I mean, and it's not to the extent of what you see these individuals do, because they take everyday situations, or they say, okay, they would take everyday situations. How can they make it crazy? Yeah. Or they go say, okay, what's the craziest thing we can do right now? They're a little bit different. I mean, those Wipeout shows and then the Holy Molys that are out there, they're kind of structured in the way that they go ahead and inflict pain on their contestants. But if this does well, and I'm not sure if it's something that, I think it's something that, since it's a Paramount movie, that they should have showcased on Paramount Plus. And if it's something that it would have done well on Paramount Plus, you could have seen them gone into a Jackass Legacy type show where they bring a new set of individuals in here, and maybe Johnny Knoxville hosts and laughs at them while they go ahead and get gored by their own bulls, and whatnot. So, I mean, I don't see this IP ending no matter how bad this movie gets trashed.
Yeah. Did you see the guy, one of their newest members got bit by a shark during Shark Week? He was like wakeboarding.
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he's like wakeboarding and he hit this ramp and just like jumped into a whole like pool of sharks. Like it was, and one came up and like bit him and then swam away. But yeah, like there's dumb and then there's like stupid, and that was pretty stupid.
Well, that sounds like the crew from Jackass is still at it even after all these years, and we'll see what kind of damage they can inflict on each other coming up in the not too distant future from Paramount in Jackass Forever. I was hoping, like I said, I think it would be better off, instead of coming to the theaters, I think it should have gone straight to Paramount Plus. And I think they need to reevaluate that, because we just heard this past week where HBO Max has said that there's going to be 10 premiere films coming next year straight to HBO Max. And I think Paramount Plus, if it wants to go ahead and achieve that next level of importance, I think they need to go ahead and start putting some of these films straight to Paramount Plus as well.
That surprises me about HBO Max, because it surprised me that they're not backing down, because there's been all these talks about like how they're going to go, this is going to run through like October and then they're going to go back to like the theater model, but I guess that's not happening anymore.
Well, AT&T reported that they had exceeded their expectations on subscriberships. I believe between 2.5 and 3 million subscribers were added for HBO Max, which was above industry and Wall Street analysis expectations. So that's the ultimate thing. If they see what's working, you got to stick to it, man. You got to stick to it, despite the chagrin of all the box office theater owners out there who are already ticked off at Black Widow and its performance in its second week, and what LeBron James' Space Jam: A New Legacy is going to probably do in its second week. So yeah, it's going to be something that we're going to have to see from there. But yeah, this is something with Jackass Forever I would have loved to have seen as the showcase movie on Paramount Plus in its opening day. They might change their minds and do that, but as of yet, it's still just coming to theaters later this year.
Yeah, yeah, and it's again like I think that this is a movie that is going to bring people together, and like that's sad to say that they're coming together with people hurting themselves, but like this is the movie that I think the world needs right now to just kind of like clean their palate of everything going on in the world.
What are your thoughts out there on the trailers we just talked about? Dune, The Last Duel, and Jackass Forever. What are your thoughts out there on them? We'd love to hear them. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, and Jamie Monroy and I will close out the show, my friend, it's been great having you here as always. But before we head on out, Dragon Ball Super Superhero was announced as a upcoming film next year, an animated film for this vaunted Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, whole nine yards type character, which has gone on for so many years now. And you and I know it more mainly from the gaming genre, but it's also been a staple of the anime genre, which is obviously where it originated. But in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, a lot of people are up in arms in regards to the new animation style that's being implemented for this film. So I want to hear your thoughts on that on Dragon Ball Super Superhero.
Okay, well, so like I've always loved Dragon Ball, like in all the forms. You know, I remember being a kid and running home to see Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, and so like I will watch whatever comes out in Dragon Ball. You know, I haven't seen Super yet. I'm trying to like make my way there because my kids have been trying to like watch Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, then we'll move on to Super. But this is cool because if you look at it, if you notice a lot of modern anime is adapting that hybrid computer animation versus
Yeah.
normal animation style. So if you look at the screen right here and you look at Goku's pants, you'll notice that it pops off the screen a little bit. You
Yeah.
see you see the shades and the wrinkles and you just kind of see like how he's standing, like it looks like his clothes are not the same animation as his like skin. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Like I think it looks kind of cool. I mean, and
Well, I
grant
already told you about with Space Jam: A New Legacy.
right.
They're using new animation techniques, and it's the one positive I can really give outside of Don Cheadle is that the animation style is something I can't wait for seeing more of in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And because the Dragon Ball franchise is so old, like yeah, you're gonna have the diehard lifelong fans watching it. But if you want to bring new people into this arena, like you're going to have to make it. You're gonna have to modernize. And I think they're doing a great job of making this look modern here. I don't know if you heard about like all the controversy with like Sean Skimmel and all that, where he got some of his B-roll was leaked, and then he got something about like he was choosing not to like the anime voice acting world was getting upset because he wasn't like voicing favor for like equality of like the women actors and all that. But you know, it's funny how like these anime voice actors, like someone like Mignona, I think his name is, just got canceled, but like Goku is so beloved that like, you know, no one's going after him. And I get that's good, but it's just like it's a you know, it's he's you've earned your place. Like, you know, you've been through the punches and like literally, and like you've earned the spotlight that you have, you know. And it just feels like it's like being a teacher and having tenure, you know, like nothing can touch. You're like invincible at that point.
Well, we'll see what happens with this. I kind of like it. I really like modernizing it as best you can
Yeah,
and using the technology that we have
it looks
to
great.
expand these. I think it looks great too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people are having issue, like you said, with the longtime fans having issue with this new animation style, but I'm looking forward to seeing Dragon Ball Super Superhero when it comes out next year. Haven't given real time frame, of course, as you see on the screen there for those watching. It's going to be dependent on the region and country that you're in, but I'm looking forward to seeing the new animation style and how well it ultimately gets over for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. What are your thoughts on Dragon Ball Super Superhero? Share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, coming up right after the break, we are replacing you with Jamie Monroy to close out the show to talk about the weekend box office, more EA Play announcements, and the rest of the major news from Comic-Con at home to close out the show. But again, my friend, it's always great having you here. I cannot thank you enough for stopping by. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, we actually have two emails to go through. Are
Okay.
you ready to take a walk down email street here?
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right, so let me throw you up on the screen here so people can see what you're up to here. All right.
Okay.
Our first email is from Jason Trellis from Toms River, New Jersey. And he's saying there's a lot of talk in the gaming world lately about director's cuts. And when I say a lot, I mean just the two in the news lately, Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding. Kojima has stated that the Death Stranding director's cut is not so much a director's cut as much as a director's plus. In your opinion, what is the difference between a director's cut and an extended version of a film or game?
Well, that's a good question. I guess for me, a director's cut would be exactly how the director envisioned it, and him or her going on the record saying as such. And to me, that's whatever it's going to be, like we saw with Zack Snyder and the Justice League. And if it's just an extended version of a film or game, then it's something that the publisher or film studio added on. I mean, we saw that with Blade Runner, the original one, going back to our conversations with Blade Runner.
Cut, yeah, and all that.
I mean, there's like 7 or 8 versions that are out there, depending on if you've seen them all. But yeah, I believe there are 7 or 8. Memory, has failed me on that. But yeah, there's several versions out there that only one of which I think that Ridley Scott actually approves of, and that is the director's cut.
Yeah,
or the final cut.
The final cut, yeah.
The final cut, yeah. But the rest of them were put out by the studio at various points in time. So I think that's probably the best way you can say it as far as a film or game is, did the director put his stamp of approval on it, or was it the studio behind it?
That's fair, yeah, because I mean the Lord of the Rings extended cuts are the director cuts, and the original are the studio cuts. So it's a very good point. All right, you ready for me to hit you with email too?
Hit me with it.
We're getting throwing your camera up there, and
just mention everyone out there, you can send us an email all the time at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com.
Okay, email 2 here we have from Elizabeth Langley in Vancouver, Washington. I haven't had a chance to watch M. Night Shyamalan's Old yet, but I keep reading reviews that talk about the twist falling flat because he over-explains things. You see this a lot in modern filmmaking where the characters either constantly over-explain or they keep repeating themselves so the audience doesn't get lost. Do you think twists in films are lost on the modern audience? Have we all become too dumb to pick things up for ourselves?
Well, I think the twists have been overdone in movies. I think there was a period of time early in the century, in fact, leading up to this past decade as well, where movies had to have a twist, or they felt they had to have a twist.
Yeah.
And M. Night Shyamalan, the funny thing, as I mentioned before on this show, on the Friday show, is that Old is the first movie he's done in 20 years that did not have a twist, or did not have a real shocking twist per se.
Yeah.
I've already actually read the spoilers. I haven't had a chance to see Old as of this taping yet, but I've already read the spoilers, and to me, from what it sounds like on the ending, that it does not look like it's a spoiler, but it's looked like something that you could have figured out all along as far as how that transpired. So yeah, I think that right now twists in films are lost on the modern audience as far as what they actually need to do and feel that they need to do. And I think that's something that is, you don't have to have a twist to have a great movie. Black Widow was an okay movie by my standards, but there was a twist in it. And I just didn't feel that it was okay twist. I was cool with it. I know a lot of people out there are not cool with it, but I thought it was okay for what it was, but it really didn't impress me one way or another. And I think that's something that I think maybe that's partly my fault as a viewer, because I'm now become so insensitive to these twists that I feel like I'm going to have to watch a twist in each and every time I watch a movie.
Yeah, and that's to the detriment of M. Night Shyamalan, right? Like he went all in with his first few films and had these big twists in them, and so now everything he makes, people are expecting a twist to roll around. As for like the audience part, do you think that the modern audience is not smart enough to like pick up on things? Do you think that if you were to not hold a hand through a movie, that the ending would still be, they'd get what they need out of the ending?
I think you need to hold the hand of the audience to a certain extent. I just don't think you need to do it as much as some filmmakers feel like they have to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still think you do to a certain extent, because people still do get lost on certain movies. There have been movies that have come out where I just don't get this film. Why was this film made? I just don't get the storyline. I just don't get this plot. So
Yeah.
I think you do have to hold the viewer's hand a little bit, but not to the extent I think that some studios and filmmakers think you do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on the movie too. Like Jurassic Park, you know what you're getting, right? Something like that, a Marvel's movie, and so on and so forth. But yeah, all right. Well, that's all we got for emails.
Well, thank you so much for sending in those emails. We truly appreciate it. And remember, social media, you can Pop Culture Cosmos wherever we're at, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can send it to us there as well, or popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. All right, my friend. Well, great to have you here once again. I will see you next week, but after the break, it is Jamie Monroy once again coming back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos.